Hello, everyone.
Ciao, everybody.
How is everyone doing today? I'm so excited to be here with my beloved husband, Jonathan.
Boy, do we have some controversy today. We had to get out and share it with you, ladies and men. I think this is good for the men too.
This is definitely good for the men. It was inspired by the men.
It absolutely was inspired by a lot of perpetually single men out there. In fact, single love coaches as well. Word out to you guys.
So I think we want to do this conversation. We want to have this conversation as graciously as possible, right?
Yeah, of course. We want to be courtly, gentlemanly, but also kind of stir the pot
A little
because
real, right?
I had no idea this basic, common, simple thing about courtship and dating, something that I feel is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Claudia woke up today to her phone to find out it's totally controversial. So, what did you post? What did you do that was just so challenging out there?
Well, I posted on this subject of, some people call it dating multiple people, some people call it rotational dating, some people call it, we would call it discernment before devotion, right?
I would. I actually really don't even like multiple or rotational. It's a little more refined, soulful
Yeah.
than those words tell me. So I could see why that would trigger people too, because it was multiple in the meme, but it is that.
That is exactly what it is. It's dating multiple people with the intention of marriage, right? And going through a journey of discernment before you, we like to say, collapse the wave on one man, right? You think about
Correct.
like a quantum wave, like that's a quantum physics term, collapsing the wave, right? And going into moving into premature devotion before you have enough information about someone, before you can be a full yes to them. And so I wasn't even trying to stir the pot with this post. I wasn't trying to be controversial, although sometimes I do that deliberately. I was just actually
Yeah, this
yesterday,
wasn't one of them
I
though.
was literally just walking through the French Quarter. I was just sitting down at a cafe. I actually had a nice glass of red wine, and I was just like, I just feel inspired to post this post that's coming through, right? And then it stirred up a whole lot of controversy. But it's funny because it's like this, we're coming from lived experience, and we're not just coming from the lived experience of our own relationship, which is certainly part of it, right? We've been together for 11 years, and we've certainly learned a lot about what to do and
And
what
what
not
not
to
to do.
do, yeah, in relationship with the opposite sex, right? But we're coming from the lived experience of having taught this, specifically courtship, right? The practice of courtship, the practice of discerning the one
Mm.
on the road to divine union love, right? Over the past 7+ years at this point,
Yeah,
to hundreds of women.
yeah.
And so we're not just coming from theory, we're not just coming from ideology, we're not just coming from our egos of what we think sounds good or think sounds cool or think sounds correct, right? Or what everyone on the internet is saying or what's cool or what's popular or whatever. We're coming from like lived, real life, practical experience and embodied wisdom of what we have seen working with hundreds of clients over the past, many, many years.
And really, the word I thought Claudia said this really well is it's what's effective. It took us
Yes.
maybe 3 years, 4 years to be like, this this is something they must do in the discernment phase or it will blow up. And it's literally something I've tracked with every divorcee I've had on countless calls over the last 2 years. I have tracked and said to them, did you, our term is, did you collapse the wave on one man too early?
Yes.
98 to 90%, 99% inevitably say, you know what, you're right, I did that. I went too devotional too quickly,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing because the devotional people we can help, but this is one of their tragic, like the fatal flaws that they'll have is they'll be too loyal too quickly.
Yes,
They'll
yes,
want to commit too early to a man who honestly hasn't earned it yet.
yes, exactly. So, why do you think, coming from the male perspective, why do you think this was so triggering for men?
Do you want honesty?
Yeah,
Do you think that's triggering at all to me?
I don't think it is to you,
I
but I
don't
think it
think it
is to
to
a lot of single men,
to a type of single
type
man.
of single men.
And honestly, a lot of these men I'm looking out for, they can be a little bit controlling.
Mm,
Did those posts seem a little bit arrogant, like kind of know-it-all-y? And maybe I think these men could be gentlemen, but I'm not sure they could humble themselves for a marriage. I asked these gentlemen, "Are you married?" The love coach, "Are you married?" The answer was inevitably no.
yeah,
And they're giving advice that they're so sure about, but they don't have the result that we have or that our clients do. Like
Yeah.
women come to us not because they want to date more. They come because they want to go through one final bridal journey once and for all
Yes.
and meet their husband. And I think a gentleman can, I get the need to, like, I really like you, I commit.
Hmm.
I really want to claim you. And sometimes we really like those men. They can listen and hear, oh, yeah, but I still need to date some other people and figure this out.
Yes.
The ones that come in really quick and love bomb and claim, you've seen me with our ladies be
Yes,
like,
that's always a red flag
don't
for
fall
you.
for this right now. Don't let it play out. And I'd say 75% of the time,
Yeah.
it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it not just with divorcees too. We've seen it with our clients,
All
right?
the time.
Like our clients who are like, "Oh, I'm just going to make this one exception," right? Like you guys are teaching it this one way, but I just feel it in my heart. I feel it in my soul. We're supposed to be together. I know he's my soulmate. Like how many like the universe brought us together, right? And how many times have we seen this? "Oh, I know he's my soulmate. He's my king. I just feel it," right? How many times have we seen a woman do this and been like, sure, yeah, trust yourself, trust your intuition? How many times have we seen that blow up in her face?
Well, recently, not so much, because
Not as
we've
much,
gotten
yeah.
much better at tough love coaching with a gentle side. Don't do this, don't. But yeah, the lady that fell in love with the DJ, the traveling motorcycle guy, and I was just like, don't collapse a wave too early. But this was before it was kind of like an absolute principle. There
Yes.
are principles and approaches in courtship. It's not so, like a numbers game. It's not so complicated. But if you break the principles and you don't learn the approaches, you're going to get the same pattern of results that everyone else is getting.
Yes.
But we've seen it. Oh, it's a one of the gentlemen today wrote, "There's a cosmic alchemical connection. I'll just
Cosmic
commit.
alignment, yeah.
I'll commit right." And I told him I've heard this a lot, and
We've heard that story before.
and I
Yeah.
asked him, "Are you married?" And he's not. He's single, and that's a huge thing when you're a goddess, you're into tantra, you're into soul connection, and you want to collapse away. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
And it gets worse with courtship, because in courtship, it's going really well. Well,
Yeah.
I've never had this many high quality men. No one's ever treated me this well. This is the man. Well, you've been on 3 dates. Can we give it five? you know, and you need that comparison and contrast.
Yeah. And I feel like there almost is a good instinct, right? Because there is this thing that we have seen with men that can be healthy, right? It's this sign of a healthy masculine man to a certain degree. Like men tend to be very like we always say that women like we're kind of like the net
Yeah.
and men are more the spear if we're talking about the analogy of hunting, right? And it's normal. I think it's quite normal and natural for a man when he meets a woman who he feels compatibility with, who he feels connection with, where he feels, there's a lot of chemistry and there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of alignment and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
values
Mm-hmm.
that are similar, right? It's normal. I would even say natural for that man to kind of want to come in for the claim, right? To like,
Come in for the claim.
yeah,
Yeah.
to come in for the claim, to sort of claim the territory, right? And or like possess the land, right? If you want to use like biblical terms. There's
Mm.
this instinct that's not all bad, right? And we don't want to shame men for this either, because I think that can be good. That full speed ahead, the claiming energy. I think the only problem is when it becomes, like you said, controlling, or when it becomes this sort of primordial instinct to possess, and versus, you know, allowing her space to feel in and for them both to go on a journey together.
Yeah.
Because it's not just her discerning him, it's him discerning her as well. And that doesn't happen in one date. It just doesn't. And we get it. Like, we get it that you guys have been through the polyamory, right? We're not proponents of this at all. We get it that perhaps you have been with multiple people, or you have dated multiple people, and you just felt overwhelmed by it, and you felt like your energy was scattered all over the place. You felt like it was really chaotic. You felt burned out. You want this sort of neat container of like a couple bubble, right? um, at, right from the beginning, to not muddy up the energy or have this murky feeling around discernment, right? Like you want to be able to discern from that more contained place. But the problem with this is when you do this, when you collapse the wave prematurely, or you come in, if you're a man, you come in prematurely for the claim, or if you're a woman, you prematurely pour yourself out in
Yeah.
this devotional posture to him before he has, like Jonathan said, earn it. You are breaking this principle of courtship that you don't actually know. You don't actually know the person that you are doing this with yet. You may feel that you do. You may feel you have enough information to go all in with this person, but the truth is you do not. You need time. You need space. And we're not talking like months and months and months and months
No,
or
it's
years. We're
very
not talking
accelerated
about
in
getting into
courtship.
some situationship that goes on and on and on. And we're also not talking about like dating 10 people, right? And having it be this totally overwhelming thing where your energy does get really scattered all over the place. We're talking about having like 2 to 3 high quality suitors that you do get to go on a journey of with. You do get to go on a journey of discernment before devotion. So you actually know who is coming to you and who isn't, right? And so there's this beautiful um, experience of you get to vet, you get to discern, you get to see who's out there, and you're not putting all of your devotional eggs in one basket. You're not giving yourself up to a man before he has shown himself who he really is. And like a healthy masculine man is not going to be attracted to that anyway, right? If you're just in this posture of going all in with him and pouring yourself out energetically, pouring your heart out to one man and being like, yes, you are the one, right? A healthy masculine man, like a godly masculine man, is going to feel like a little bit strange about that. He may not be able to articulate this, but there's going to be something weird in his body where he's like, why is she acting like my wife before I have earned it, right? Like there's something in wired in primordial masculine biology where it's like men know primordially, biologically, that they do need to like earn a woman's love. And like getting the free love makes her it's off, right? There's an offness about that. And so we don't recommend this at all. We get it why people want to do this. It's understandable that your instinct, your impulse is to just do this, right? But we have rarely, if ever, seen it work out. Maybe once in a blue moon, if you get lucky, if the stars align, right? But rarely do we see it work out. And that's why we are such huge proponents of dating a few different people. And this does not mean sleeping with a few different people. This
No.
does not mean even getting like really emotionally entangled with a few different people. It means going out to coffee. It means talking about your values. It means talking about your interests, your desires, your dreams. It means going on a journey, right? It's not this, it doesn't have to be this all or nothing thing. And I think one of the things that we see so often where people mess up and they fail and they falter in courtship is they have this all or nothing approach.
Yeah.
It's either I'm single or we're in a relationship. I'm either by myself or I'm in this couple bubble and we're basically married and we're on the fast lane to
I've been on one date and he's my husband or he's not.
yeah.
Well, wait a second. We need to practice. This is the thing I don't hear. You need to practice. It's Claudia and I say it's chess, not checkers. And what I love about courtship, if you're a little patient, it will accelerate the whole journey to marriage.
Yes.
But it works itself out. It's like you can surrender to a system in a process that's smarter than us.
Yes.
And it will sort itself out. Now, this thing about, like, I don't want to bash men. I just noticed
No.
these men that were coming on seem to know a lot, and yet we're single, which is not the desired result we have. And I felt that they would do the thing that is a turnoff to women. This is why I hope some men out there hear this. Do we not hear women all the time say, guy says you're the one on the first date?
Yes.
And what does that do with the woman typically?
Women are like deer. Like men don't realize this. We're like this like skittish like deer, and it feels like kind of like an assault to our systems. Like we want to run away.
Yeah, and this is why I want to sometimes tell the more rigid polarity guys, the ones that are always red-pilled, go claim, you got to also be able to chill, to be a gentleman, to
Yes.
give a little breathing space to really have a great journey to find your wife. So you don't want to treat her, actually, you kind of want to treat her like a wife and a princess from day one on, but you don't claim her like a wife until it's how many times do we hear this in our work? Divine timing. See, the
Yes.
masculine has a timing and process to it.
Yes.
And if you mess up with that timing, I was even thinking how when we got engaged, you got a ring, I got a watch. Men love timing. And when you
Mm.
get the timing right with men, in with this appreciation that the women bring, I think that's why they claim two very quickly in our work, or can,
Yeah.
is because they're not used to being appreciated and
And
honored
received,
and
and yeah.
received. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'll never get this again.
Yes.
But the thing is, we have gentlemen do this all the time who are really great men, but they don't have game. And the women often will think, well, I'm going to just throw him out. But if he's not controlling or super arrogant, we're like, no, this is a good guy. This is
Yes.
a good sign.
Yes.
But then they have to know this other thing. It's not boundaries, it's boundaries, but you also need to know breaks and a communication skills to slow the roll, as they say.
Yeah.
You have to slow things down. And Claudia teaches this in our work. What is it? Breaks, boundaries, and
Yeah.
yeah, because it's so key. And if you don't know that, you're going to let men who maybe don't know this process, you want them to lead, but sometimes their timing's off just because they don't have that kind of perspective or game. If they
Yes.
did, maybe they'd be married. But there's a lot of good marriageable men that will make this mistake. And that's why we do give the masculine the benefit of the doubt. We don't go in shame, as you say. We really give every man a chance.
Yes.
I think that's what's so cool about our work. It's not this transactional thing. We're like
Mhm.
really showing up well to them and giving them the chance, because I think a lot of men are overlooked or missed, and they're actually super studs for marriage, but a lot of the world doesn't see it that way.
I just saw Anna jump on. Hey Anna, so good to see you on here. Aw. Um, yeah, exactly, honey. I think that's so wise. And it's like letting there be stages and an order, a divine order and a
Yeah,
divine timing,
yeah,
right? It's like a pregnancy, right? You don't just go from being pregnant to like having the baby instantaneously, right? And I think we want to do there's a gestation period, there's trimesters, right? There's a first trimester, there's a second trimester, there's a third trimester, and then there's like the postpartum, right? It's exactly the same with courtship. There are phases and stages, and there's a divine order and a divine timing that when we go through these stages, there's gonna be much more likelihood of it actually working out because you didn't try and rush from like conception to giving birth in an instant, right? And that's where people mess up. That's because people want to just go from 0 to 100.
yeah,
And I get it. Masculine men, they want to go from 0 to 100. They want to come in for the claim, right? If they feel they've found somebody who's really special, I get that. And she needs like a woman. What a woman needs is for you to just cool your jets a little bit. She's like a deer, right? And like a wolf, right? That's how her primitive nervous system is receiving you, right? So your job as a woman, I'm speaking from the woman's perspective here, your job as a woman is not to either collapse into fawning response, right? And just go into people pleasing and just be, yes, dear, sure, I'll go all in with you, even though I don't really know who you are, right? Or on the other hand, there is compatibility, if there is potential, if there is a spark, if there is something there that you want to explore, there's ways to lightly, gently, graciously, in a feminine way, tap the brakes. And so you're not slamming on the brakes and then running away. And then he feels rejected, and then he feels like he needs to go off into his own, retreat into his own cave or whatever. So there's a beautiful way that these two tendencies of the feminine, the masculine, these two natures can come together. But we have to learn how to, first of all, we have to understand the process of courtship. There are these stages, and there is this divine order and biological design that happens, that unfolds over time, right? That's very practical and will yield a lot of good fruit on your journey of courtship. So we need to know that, and then we also need to understand how to work together as these two unique energies of male and female.
yeah. I think it got me with the men just because they were all single but knew best, and we pride ourselves on almost like 100% victory. If you're coachable, if you're cool and committed, we get to your husband almost inevitably.
Yes.
because courtship works. It's just a modality I trust. But there's a couple key principles. You can't go, it's discernment before devotion.
Yes.
And it's, you've got it, you can't collapse the wave on one man.
And the overinvestment too soon is a huge problem.
And that's part of what we're talking about. How many people overinvest too
Yes.
quickly?
Yes.
But I am realizing that I wonder if some of these men that were writing this often scare women away, because we just see it constantly in our work. Is he came on too strong too quick, and it's primarily with the claiming.
Yes.
You're the best woman I've met. You've da da da. In fact, I think I'm going to do a live or a reel called the 3 ways men lose leverage with women, and I think that's like the number 2 that I have on there is you're claiming too quickly.
Yeah.
And it kind of cuts out the mystery. You might look a little pathetic. You might even be masculine and still just, I don't know, come off as they're masculine, but why are the women not excited about that?
Because there's an intensity in her body when she receives that from him. When he does that, when he comes on that strong, like, you're the one, I choose you, let's get married, right? Like, right out of the gate, it's like the response that it has in a woman's body is like a deer in the wild running away from the wolf. And so it's like, it's a primitive biological response that she's having in her nervous system that either makes her want to just kind of run away, right? And reject him completely, or just fawn and be like, okay, sure, I'll say yes, even though I don't really feel safe. There's a lack of safety.
Yeah.
There's a lack of safety, and safety is so important for women. I don't think men always realize that.
I don't, and it is probably why I have a cautionary tale for some of the more rigid manosphere stuff out there. Is they teach masculinity, which our ladies totally want, but they miss that balance of being a gentleman,
chivalry.
Like the chivalry. That's a key to courtship. I know one guy said, well, if it's multiple men, this is the single love coach, it's transactional. And I thought, that's funny, because it's not what we do here. Like, courtship is a soul connected thing.
Yeah.
It's not this cheap thing where you're coming out with a list and checking people on or off. But yeah.
And it's a mutual discernment. It's not like she's, she sees herself as this goddess on a pedestal and she's like auditioning suitors or something like this. It isn't like this hierarchy of she's above him and she's like trying him on and, auditioning him, which I could see why men would think that was sort of degrading or insulting, or, that would be triggering to them. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like mutual discernment. Really going on a journey of discovering if there is alignment, if there is compatibility, if there is attraction, if there is vision that aligns, if there are desires and dreams that are compatible, right? There is a lifestyle design that would work well together here, versus, oh, I just feel something for you, whether this is the man or the woman, and there I'm gonna just choose you instantaneously based on that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And feelings are not enough for love. Feelings are not enough. We know this. We've been married for
how many times have we told ladies, do not just follow your intuition. You actually, but you're, like you said, you're rushing to the end. There's a whole romantic movie that needs to be played out and you want to get to the credits.
Yes.
There's a chess game that needs to kind of have its own process, and yet you want to say checkmate from like day 2 or 3. And it's just like lasting love doesn't work that way, because the thing is, we're not just finding like your person.
Yes.
Something I pride ourselves on is like pretty much everyone is still together.
Yes.
It has to appreciate, it has to get better and more enriching over time. There's no honeymoon phase and then it collapses like with so many people.
Yeah.
And I think when you rush to the end, you don't know how the next movie's going to go.
I really think it's this almost overcorrection of the culture that we live in right now, which is very open. It's very poly. It's very like, there's no boundaries. There's no borders. Everybody's just kind of, open and kind of, open with each other, right? And so it feels almost like this overcorrection of that into this extreme other way. So we're not going to be open. We're not going to be polyamorous. So we're just going to be like, now we're going to get married after one date.
Yeah.
And I think like both of these paradigms are faulty.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about this again. We're not talking about this as an ideology. We're not talking about this as some concept that we have, as some theory that we're testing out. We're talking about this from our lived experience, but also working with hundreds of clients over the last 7 years. So this is, we have like the this is not just a theoretical thing that sounds good to us or sounds cool or whatever. This is based on just working with so many women over the past 7 years and just seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
And we're all about what works.
it's not a convenient ideology. It's a practicum.
Yes.
And I think what you're saying is why so many of these men that do commit early, but they just don't have game. It's not that they're being controlling.
Yeah.
Are really great husbands. They can be because they can commit. It's not like that wishy-washy yoga guy that could not show up on
Yes.
time for a date. It's not like the traveling shaman person that just wants to be Tantra Pali Bali kind of person. No, these these men that show up this way, they really honestly could have the wife of their dreams.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
But they've got to learn the way.
Just cool the jets just a little bit.
A little bit.
Like, yeah.
Give it, 2 or 3 months. I mean, it used to freak me out how quick people would get married in courtship because we took a while.
Yeah.
And yet it's an accelerated, graceful path. So it can happen quite quickly.
Yes.
And still be in just wonderful divine alignment. It's not rushed. It's just accelerated. I actually love that. People get engaged within 6-9 months sometimes of this work, quite
Yes.
often. But we never feel like it's iffy because they went through the discernment phase.
They went through the discernment phase.
If you rush this discernment phase, man, it's just like the divorcees I have. And then we'll have the divorcees say, well, it
Yes.
didn't work out because, and then I always track it back before even the marriage. They did this one thing.
Yeah. Too much, too soon.
Too much, too soon.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
It's like too fast, too hard, crash and burn. And then women
Rinse and repeat.
rinse and repeat. Exactly. Women will do this. They will go all in with one man and it'll crash and burn, right? The too much, too fast, too soon kind of thing. They'll go all in. They will just go devotional. They'll pour themselves out to this one man. They will, they'll change their Facebook status profile. They'll take their picture off or their profile off from their online dating apps. And they'll just be like, I'm all in with this one man. And then within 3 to 6 months, almost like clockwork, this whole thing blows up in her face. And then guess what? She's back at ground zero versus if she had dated multiple men. Okay, if this doesn't work out with this one man, that's okay. There are these other suitors that you are dating, right? In your field, in your rotation, that now you can fall back into, right? And so that man, it didn't work out with that man for a reason. Okay, that's not the end of the world, right? You're not starting from ground zero. You're not starting from nothing, right? And you don't have to spend months licking your wounds, right? You can just go back to the men who are showing up with consistency, who are showing up nobility, who are showing up with chivalry, and all of the things that we do look for in, as women in our vetting journey with the masculine.
Yeah, and it gives this really great balance and chillness, and the men don't feel you obsessing. It gives leverage. It just balances the whole thing out.
It balances it out, yeah.
We've even had women clients that have, I warned them, this is back in the day. I don't let them do it anymore. You have to date 2 or 3 high quality suitors. That's the rule.
Yes.
But back in the day, yeah, no, this will totally work out. I'm going to do this. And I'd say, don't. But I wasn't as tough love as I am now. What?
You weren't as firm about it.
Wasn't as firm back then because I didn't have enough cautionary tales quite then.
Yeah.
And yet they would go through the 9 months and it would blow up just like Claudia said. And then they have kind of a period of mourning and crying. But fortunately, thinking of a couple, they didn't just let their hearts get totally burned and knock them out of the game. And they said, you know what? I'm going to do it the way you guys recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went back with all the skills they had, but they didn't break this one rule. And I'm thinking of a couple, they're still with their people today.
Yes.
So, but they had to go through 9 months where they could have just avoided that process.
Yes, exactly. Saves a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of heartbreak. And it's more respectful to him too, because it's not wasting his time either.
Yeah. we're really about mutual respect, mutual appreciation.
Yes.
You know, it's not him over her or vice
This
versa.
competition, battle of the sexes stuff. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
really not into that.
and we want him to claim. We do. We want him to lead, him to claim. Uh, you know, we're good at breaking the thing where sometimes ladies will claim him.
Yes.
Um, but these men that wrote us, they were claimers.
They're claimers, and we like
We
claimers.
like claimers. It's just like Claudia said, you got to chill out a
Gotta
little
cool your
bit.
jets a little bit. Yeah.
Cool the jets for the men, and the ladies need to learn in a respectful, communicative way,
Yes.
like that. That's going to resonate, and we teach this in our work so that he can hear this.
Yes.
Oh yes, you know, I really love how this is going. We're, I really enjoy getting to know you here. I totally love the idea of having a longer term commitment in a marriage.
Yes.
But there, you know, there's just this way to communicate it that it's either one, he's going to get it,
Or he's not.
or if he doesn't, he may not be the right guy.
He may self-select out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's usually a good thing. That's I've
Yeah.
learned to trust courtship because we don't really have people engaged in narcissists and love bombers and these kind of things. It naturally weeds them out.
Exactly, honey.
It's a God given art form.
It's a God-given art form. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you like to say, darling?
Yeah. Just want to say that you're not a wife until you're a wife, right? Um, you're not a wife until you're a wife, until he's put that ring on you and you have said, I do, right? And so a man expecting wifey treatment from you or feeling entitled to your full devotion is out of order. And there are ways to gently pop the brakes, respectfully, graciously, in a feminine way that will slow him down. If he's a good man, if he's not a good man, then that's good information for you to know really right at the gate. And yeah, and then you can really, when you do go through this process, which really doesn't need to take more than 3 to 6 months. It really, really doesn't. And if you get stuck on this loop of going all in, blowing it up, going all in, blowing it up, going all in, blowing it up, then that's a pattern, right, that you need to break. And we're here to support you with that if that's something that you're interested in. But you're not a wife until you're a wife. And a man who's acting entitled to your wifey treatment before he has fully claimed you is that's something that you want to have some caution around, right? Doesn't necessarily mean slamming on the brakes and pushing him out, but it can mean just there's a yellow flag there that needs to just be looked at.
Yeah. So if you've struggled with the discernment phase, we love this. This is like married people are in some ways easy to help.
Mm.
Single people, it's like it's just like love surgery. It's the most beautiful, challenging thing we can do, and we've helped hundreds of ladies master this journey from being perpetually single
Yes.
to courted to claim. So if you need help with aspects of that discernment journey, I think it helps because we're a married husband and wife, and we can see the masculine and feminine perspectives
Yes.
and guide you through every steps. And you'll know the steps, you'll know the approaches, and you'll know the way.
Yes.
Most people, they're actually really great and marriageable. It's kind of like skiing or an art form. They just don't know it. So these patterns can be broken by simply learning this art form and the steps and stages of it. So if you're interested, we still have 8 spots left. They're going though. We have a little $500 off for spring love. So if you want to get married this year, if you want to meet your husband in the next 6 months, and this has really been on your heart, we are here. This is like our message and mission in the world. So please reach out. Will we put a link with this?
Absolutely, honey. And men too, right?
Absolutely. We've opened up to men recently and really have been helping them with all the skills we've learned from working on the other side of the aisle for years. We have a lot of secrets for men that help crack the single codes for them as well. So men, ladies, reach out to us, and I've set aside time over the next week to do a personal love diagnostic call with you. I bet you will have the best clarity you've ever had about your love life. So click on the link. We'd love to talk to you.
Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we look forward to talking with you very soon. Ciao for now.